about the Adopt a Polling Station plan by NASA. Oliver, let me come to you. NASA has been having, creative ways of, guarding the votes this time round. But also, there are very many questions in regards to another aspect of Adopt a Polling Station. So apart from the five party agents that, that number still is in contention, you have people who apparently will be 400 meters away from, where the voting process is taking place, just to ensure that, they either bring people in to vote for to cast their vote, or the elderly will be brought in also by these people. I don't know where you stand with that.
First and foremost, Betty, I think we need to encourage all creative measures to protect the sanctity of the election, but within the law. With that one, I highly encourage any political party to come up with creative ways of protecting their win or any other thing, but as long as it is within the law. But the question of having extra people outside the polling station, I think that one now goes to whether the election is free and fair. For one reason, if you have the same number of people in Kisumu, what will they be doing? They might end up intimidating voters as they come to the polling station. The same will happen in the Jubilee stronghold, in Nyeri and Uasin Gishu. At the end of the day, the free will of the people might not be exercised because you have people who will be intimidating people, jeering them and shouting at them. So at the end of the day, somebody will not vote with the conviction of their heart. They will vote with the convenience of those bystanders.
All right.
So I think we should just deal with that one also.
Felix, did NASA, clearly think about this other aspect of Adopt a Polling Station?
Well, look, first of all, let me say this. The law, the Election General Regulations of 2012 is clear. And it states that a party is allowed to nominate one agent per polling station, and where there is no party, a candidate, in the event a party does not, a candidate can. Now, the reading of that tells you that the law or parliament attempted to give that the widest possible interpretation, such that if a party doesn't have, a candidate is allowed to nominate. Now, the other thing is there is sufficient safeguards in law and punitive measures that if these agents were to engage in any criminal activities, including bribing voters within the precinct of the polling station, etc., the presiding officer can eject them. And that decision will be final. Now, if that was your fear, then that's the law actually attempted to deal with that very fear. Now, and then there is a problem that is occasioned usually by the IEBC. People talk about polling centers and polling stations as if it is one and the same thing. For the purposes of voter registration, IEBC gazettes polling centers, such that Olympics Primary School is a polling center for the purposes of voter registration. For the purposes of elections, IEBC gazettes polling stations. What you are calling streams are polling stations within for the purposes of election. What it means is if you refuse a party, then that in Olympics primary school, you will only nominate one. I think there are 20 streams in Olympic primary school. When the time reaches for counting of ballot papers or votes cast in the evening, will your one agent go around 20 polling stations trying to do that? So again, as a part of a long-term reform, and I've argued this in other forums or in articles, we need to have one definition, both at the time of voter registration and at the time of voting, of our definition of a polling station.
So what can IBC do now so that, because we're already here, what is that thing that needs to be done so that, they make amends about, if you have 20 streams or, 20 rooms where people are voting, there could be people who are going around and checking what is happening. Because if NASA feels like that, the same thing will happen to Jubilee, and they'll also want all these other people to come in and participate.
And what is the alternative? The alternative is to have no agents at the polling station. Would that be the convenient thinking, which is what I'm trying to discuss? Now, I hope this meeting that they're having, which I think is very well in order, and IEBC should be encouraged to host as many meetings as possible to discuss situations like this instead of parties running to court. We'll be able to come up with an administrative arrangement of how to effectively accommodate this. Now, that administrative arrangement might result into saying, for example, let's map the country. In the larger Ukambani, we will have, because it's NASA that is a coalition, Jubilee is a party now.
Yes,
it was a coalition in the last election. We can agree to have Wiper be the party to nominate, but in each, whatever streams, in each polling station, including the streams. Now, that is an administrative arrangement that can be reached and a consensus built in a meeting such as the one that IEBC has called today.
Okay.
But it is not up to us to say, oh, it will be very inconveniencing. The law about election doesn't deal with discretions.
Okay.
It doesn't deal with inconvenience. What is convenient to IEBC?
All right. So let's wait and see what's going to be happening. We have to conclude our conversation. And like Felix mentioned, we're having that meeting today between IEBC and NASA officials to really delve into this issue to do with Adopt a Polling Station. We'll be getting to hear just what this consensus will be. I've been speaking to Felix Odhiambo here in studio. He's a country director, and he's also he's an electoral law and governance expert, and he's also the country director for the same institute. Thank you very much for your time. We've also had Oliver Kipchumba Mutai, who's a political scientist and a lawyer, together with Duncan Okachi, who's a lawyer and a political analyst. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.